Hello and welcome again to your weekly DreamSport stream. As always, you are joined by me, Andy, FPL TeachMode, and this week we are going to be talking about Redzone, NFL Redzone Week 6. And this is, as well, one of the entries for the DreamSport October competition. Massive competition, so many different things you can enter, and the better you do in each one, the more chance you have of doing really well at the end of it and winning some prizes, winning some actual prizes, which is lovely. So we're going to talk about what my entries are. I'm going to apologise straight away, by the way. I've got a different camera today. You can tell the quality is not as good, so I do apologise. I couldn't get it working for some reason. Baby brain, there you go. So I'm going to click on it here, and we'll have a look at the fixtures to start with. Always have a look at the fixtures before you have a look at the prices. I always find that's a good way to go. I'm going to say it now. I feel like this is a really tricky week. I feel like there's going to be a lot of close contests this week. There is also the early kickoff because there's a London game between Miami and the Jags as well. And actually, even that's a tough fixture to call. But I'm looking at this week thinking there's going to be some close games. There's going to be a few blowouts, and I'll talk to you about those in a minute. But on the whole, I feel like this will be quite close. Ravens Chargers, I feel like could be a bit of a shootout, if I'm perfectly honest. If you fancy it to be a shootout, then you've got to go for Lamar Jackson. He is literally carrying that team at the moment. But the Chargers, there's nothing wrong with going for somebody like, going for a Herbert and a Keenan Allen stack. Maybe Mike Williams if he's declared fit to play as well, so that's absolutely fine. Panthers Vikings, I actually fancy the Panthers to win this one against the Vikings. I feel like I'm pretty sure McCaffrey's not going to be playing. So Chuba Hubbard isn't a bad player to go for. I'm not massively high on him personally. But even though the Panthers I suspect to win, I still think there is some good reason to go for someone like Justin Jefferson in your team because he's going to be getting the targets. He'll get well over 100 yards and probably a touchdown as well. Bears, Packers. Not much to shout about in this one. I think the Packers will win. I think Bears, you've got to go, and this is going to be my bargain of the week, you've got to go for Khalil Herbert. With Williams out and with David Montgomery out, Herbert's the next man up, and he's actually looked quite good as well. So have a look at him. He's only about 8 million, and he is definitely going to be worth it. He's going to be one of our enablers this week. Colts versus Texans. Texans are just going to get ruined whatever game they play at the moment. They're just awful. Indianapolis Colts, so Jonathan Taylor, I think, is the main man. You've got a target there, isn't it? Giants versus Rams. This is one of our first blowouts. I think the Rams are going to run riot against the Giants. I wouldn't be picking anybody for the Giants, especially now Saquon Barkley's out and it's going to be Devonta Booker coming in. I don't really fancy that this week. But the Rams, I think you can suit up Cooper Kupp. You'd be more than happy with that. You'd be more than happy with Darrell Henderson. I think he should do quite well as well. And then obviously Matt Stafford if you wanted to go for him. I do feel like there are some quarterbacks with better upside than Matt Stafford this week. But it's not outside the realms of possibility that Matt Stafford throws for 300 plus yards and gets 3 touchdowns. It could very, very well happen. And then we've got Washington Football Team versus Kansas City Chiefs. I am going to say now, the Chiefs are going to run all over Washington Football Team. Mahomes, Tyreek Hill are going to run riot. I really do think that. Kelsey as well. If you can get some enablers in your team to mean that you've got a double or a triple stack of Chiefs, I honestly think that's a good way to go this week. And then Lions versus Bengals. I fancy the Bengals to do them in this one, if I'm perfectly honest. I feel like Burrow, Higgins and Chase and Mixon are going to be too much to handle for the Lions. So I do fancy them. Now, if we have a look at our teams, you can see the prices here. Mahomes is always going to be the most expensive. I don't usually put a lot of Chiefs players in my team just because they're so overpriced all the time, but it could be one of those weeks where we put Mahomes in. We'll have a look and see how much money. I'm not going to do my quarterback to the end, I don't think. I like Mahomes this week. I like Jackson. They're absolutely fine. If we just click on quarterbacks. Herbert is just having a year. He's having an absolute year, and the Ravens' defense is not very good this year because of a few injuries they've got. Stafford, we've already mentioned. I mean, he's 4 million less than Mahomes, and he could do just as well, so it's worth keeping an eye on that. Joe Burrow is somebody that's a bit of a dark pick for me. I feel like he is somebody that could do very, very well this week. It was whether he's got it in him to go 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in a week where we need him. That's a big thing for him. Apart from that, not feeling it with any of the others. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put Burrow in at the moment just to see. He had a throat contusion, by the way, which is why he's going to play. It'll be absolutely fine. I'm going to go on to wide receivers next. I've got to put Hill in. I think Hill is going to have an incredible week, so I'm going to put Hill in. I'd love to put Mike Williams or Keenan Allen in as well. I feel like they could have very good games, even against the Ravens D, which isn't great anymore. DJ Moore could be very good. Robert Woods, I'm going nowhere near at the moment, so I'm not going to be going for him. Marquise Brown is very hot or cold usually, but he's had a very good start this season. But there is talk about Rashad Bateman being back, so I'm not going to be going for him. I think what I am going to do, I'm really tempted to go for the Higgins and Chase double up. Does look quite nice having that double up there. Eats into my funds a little bit, but I do quite like having that double up there. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave him in there for the time being and see how it looks with those two, and then go on to our running backs. Now, running backs I've already mentioned. I would love to have Taylor in there. So I'm going to put Taylor in and see what it looks like. Darrell Henderson's obviously fine. Now, the big player we have to put in is Herbert. 8.1 million. Yes, please. You've got a player there, 8.1 million. I think he could do damage. I think he could do genuine damage against that Green Bay run defense that isn't that good. So, yes, I am more than happy to put Herbert in there. And then apart from that, it's not... I don't feel like there's a great load of players we can pick from. We could go for Lat Murray. Lat Murray is somebody that will probably score a touchdown, unless Lamar Jackson poaches him from him. But let's just put him in there just because I said we needed a few enablers this week anyway. In terms of Ds, Indianapolis Colts against Houston Texans is probably a good one to go for because Mills at quarterback for Texans is just having a torrid time. He did have a good week not too long ago, but I think you'd fancy him potentially, but it is a very expensive D there. You've got the Rams against the Giants. Obviously, the Giants aren't very good either. Green Bay Packers against the Bears could be okay, especially with Justin Fields having a bit of a bad time of it at the moment. You've got to be targeting these rookie quarterbacks and these standing quarterbacks because they're the ones that are going to be throwing the interceptions and the pick sixes. Wouldn't be going anywhere near Baltimore. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for the Rams because I can see Jones throwing a few interceptions because he's probably still going to be a bit groggy after that horrific hit he had the other day. Right, I'm going to put Kelsey in as well. Look at the difference though. Kelsey 19.6, Andrews 14. 5 million difference. Now, one player I do need to tell you about at tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, I think is going to have a very, very good game. I feel like he's going to get a touchdown and I feel like he could get between 50 and 100 yards this week. So for 10 million less than Travis Kelce, I think he's somebody you can plug in and be quite happy with. Now, I've now got 11.7 million to spare, so I'm going to put Mahomes in. Sorry, I never put Mahomes in, so I'm going to put him in this week. And I've still got 6.5 million to go with. I'm going to go with Higgins over Chase. I know that probably sounds a bit controversial, but I'm going to do it. Still got 22 million to spare. Devontae Adams, you could go with. I think I'm going to go with Kupp. So I've still got 3 million to play with there. So I've got Higgins, Kupp, Hill, Seals-Jones, Mahomes, Taylor, Herbert, Lat Murray. I could probably upgrade Latavius Murray a little bit, couldn't I? What's he cost? 9 million. Who can I get for 12 million? Alexander Mattison, but Dalvin Cook's going to be back. Williams for Chiefs, yeah, probably not feeling that too much. And then price hike goes up quite a bit. Antonio Gibson's probably going to do all right this week. Yeah, there's nobody else I'm really feeling there. So I've got an extra 3 million to spend. Where could I spend my extra 3 million? God, struggling to spend the money this week. Not loving that Lat Murray pick. Could I downgrade somebody? Maybe that's what I would do. Maybe I would downgrade. No, because problem is, there's nobody up here. Eckler is going to be very good, but obviously he's 10 million more. Dalvin Cook's going to have a good week as well. Aaron Jones, Swift, and Mixon could all have good weeks, but they're all so much more expensive. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it there. So I've got Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback, obviously. I've got Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, and Cooper Kupp as my wide receivers. That is a lovely upside wide receivers there. I could upgrade Higgins to Chase, actually. That is something I could do, but I fancy Higgins this week over Chase. Ricky Seals-Jones is my tight end. He's one of my bargains of the week. And then I've got Taylor, Herbert. Herbert is my massive bargain of the week. You must have him in your teams this week. Jonathan Taylor, obviously came off an incredible game against the Ravens. And then Lat Murray as well. And then I'm going for the Rams D as well. That's my team for this week. I do wish you luck, especially if you are in the DreamSport October competition. Make sure you start strong with the Premier League one that is going to be happening on the Saturday. And then, of course, our NFL one that's going to be happening on Sunday. Thank you very much for joining me again this week. I hope you have a lovely week. And I hope you really enjoy playing DreamSport. See you later.